Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Fergusson, and we are here to talk Heroes of the Storm, which we are 2 days into the patch.
No, it's Thursday now. No, it's Thursday.
I thought it dropped on the 7th.
You're right. Okay, yes. You're right. You're right. There's been enough time to make extremely bold predictions and assume everything. Rhaegar's broken. Placements are awful.
Rhaegar is absolutely broken. I mean, show's over. We're done.
Yeah.
Rhaegar is broken. Play Rhaegar or ban Rhaegar, everybody. That's this week's Into the Nexus. Thank you for coming. Please stop by patreon.com/ITN and pay us too much money for a 1-minute podcast.
All right. So let's earn our buck. It's Rhaegar is very powerful. It might be an ease of use issue. There's nothing particularly strategic maybe about running into the enemy team, pressing a bunch of buttons, Bloodlust being some of them, Totems being some of them, bouncing heal that you might alt cast on yourself being one of them. And then going, oh, maybe I stayed too long, and running away, and then going, oh, no, I'm fine. Then going back in to do another butt bite. So I would love to say, like, well, there's some nuance. And, like, there's some, if you've ever played a melee assassin, if you've ever played Diablo, you know how to run in, get low, and then run away for a small amount of time, and then go back in.
Yeah, just make sure you run from the windows to the wall.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, I will not continue the song. It'll stop there. But due to our win rates, that we can see at home, diving a little bit into that, it is a bit build dependent. But if you go totem build right now, you are upping your win rate by a good 20%, if not more. And totem is incredible.
Totem is very good. Totem build feels exceptional. It's also fun.
Yeah.
Totem build is fun. They made Totem fun, which I feel like requires at least some crow eating on my part after I ripped this patch a new one last week. Rhaegar is going to need to get toned down. There's no doubt in my mind.
Totem down?
Totemed down. Thank you. Toned down.
Totally totemed. The name's a work in progress, but either way, the bonus 50% health that Totem received means that it is a full-blown choice if you want to remove it from the battlefield, and often it's going to be the right answer. But then Colossal Totem hits by level 7, increasing that health area and duration by 50%. There's just a lot of effects. Might I read all the effects that Totem build will be giving your Totem by the end, because we just to start out.
Oh yeah, let me for the video audience. Let me go ahead and navigate over to a one Mr. Rhaegar's Hotslogs page, so we can call this out as we go.
So Totem supplies you with a 35% slow baseline. Grounding Totem will decrease attack speed by 40% and spell power by 20% in that area, increasing its range by 50%. Colossal Totem increase the area and duration of Totem by 50%. Reactivating Earthbind Totem can move it to a new location. Pretty good on a pursuit hero. Wellspring every 2 seconds. Earthbind casts an untalented chain heal for 35% of its amount. And then finally, Earthgrass Totem at 16 is giving that a 90% slow for 1 second. And at level 16 values, this is about 303 damage that you're slapping on top of people in the area of the totem.
You're murdering fools with the totem.
It does some lane clear too. It doesn't just hit heroes, so you can lane clear with this. You can be like, lane, blah, and then reposition. You can only reposition once over the course of the cooldown, even with the increase. But like, I was doing some weird stuff, such as slapping it on top of a Li Ming who was in range. She'd immediately go teleporting out. She had reduced spell power, 20%.
And then you move it. And then you move it.
Yeah. Then you jump in Ghostful form and chase after her and reposition it back. Now, Earthgrap Totem is really, really well written. It says when it's first cast, so you're not getting another 90% application. You're not slamming them for damage a second time. But there is the bulk of people out there this week that are running the old Lightning build. And why? You got baked in the mana return at level 1.
Because it's still winning. It doesn't really matter how. Again, the game played are low. I'm looking at Storm. I am looking at Storm League on Hot Slugs. There's so many games played in 2 days on Rhaegar. It's ridiculous. Like if you look at like a quick match, you go to games played. Rhaegar in 2 days on Hot Slugs, which it's only what people upload. 649 games played in quick match. Do you know what the next highest hero is? It's Vala, and it's 309 games played. Rhaegar has more than doubled the next highest, like most played hero in quick match. So, like, we actually have some stats to look at, and you go over to Storm League, which is what I'm looking at right now. Everything's winning. 63% win rate when you take Stormcaller, 65% win rate when you take Grounded Totem, and 26 people accidentally clicked Feral Heart. But that's okay, because if they made it to level 4, it didn't matter what they took, they have more than a 50% chance to win.
Surprisingly, the popularity on Purge, I need to make sure, let me make sure I have the right week here. Because why is Purge so low? Okay, it's not. So Purge has a 53% popularity at 7. This is your purification augmentation to Purge.
Yeah. It's called purification. I was sorry, I was confused too. Yeah. And so that actually appears to be the most popular one in Storm League. However, Colossal Totem has a way higher win rate.
Which is absolutely true. When you get that bonus health, area, and duration, that is when you're basically setting up a water elemental. Like, how many drills we run away from. Ultralists, we kind of just like, they're okay. Gargantuans we run away from, but water elementals need to be destroyed, or they can be a huge hazard. And Colossal Totem, when you get this many things attached to it, this many bullet points associated with it, it really does need to be taken out. But around like 900 health, you're looking at like 4 maybe auto attacks from some of your players. This doesn't catch some projectiles too, like a Lee-Ming orb will not be caught on a totem. It'll go right through. So there are some instances where there might be a lot of damage flying around the totem, but it's unaffected and has to be right-clicked.
Yeah. I was already like, after a single game, seeing Rhaegar perform, I was like, yep, okay, welcome Rhaegar, you are the meta now. But the realization that Totem build, I think, is going to be the build until a nerf comes, was in a game I think you were playing with me today, where someone on our team yelled, "Kill the totem," and everyone agreed. Like, no one was like, "You're out of your mind." Rhaegar's been in this game forever. Never have I seen anyone type "kill the totem."
An attack speed slow on a Zul'jin, a Butcher, of 40% is pretty intense. And doing it on the support, doing it without having to physically be there, is kind of crazy. I mean, when we look at Muradin's attack speed slow, he has to get in there first. And auto attacks are often poking you along that way. There's a little bit of danger associated with it. Cast range is being increased. Like, there's just so much to this that is causing a lot. By the way, it's Earth Living Enchantment at level 4 for you, because that additional healing while below 50% health is huge.
Yeah. On top of the fact that you're doing decent damage and you're bringing a baseline cleanse, like all of these things that feel really good with Rhaegar, and all of the buffs to Totem build, he really feels like a healer again. Like, he never really felt like a full healer. Always kind of felt like a half healer to me. Chain Heal did not bring home the bacon. But now with, oh God, I'm on last 2 patches, so I can't see the Earth Living Enchant. Like, that really helps. But then also, you're probably going Totem build, so you're grabbing Wellspring and you're getting an untalented extra Chain Heal. Which last week I said, I want it right as I drop it. Never mind, doesn't matter.
It's fine.
This totem survives so long, and it already, dude. It's been 2 days. It already feels like a shot call. Like when you throw down the totem. Who needs bloodlust? You just throw down a totem, and the 4 other people on your team go, "Oh, okay, we're murdering things. Cool, sounds good." They're going to be around that totem, and you're going to get Wellspring value.
My biggest disappointment in playing Rhaegar was feeling locked out, like I couldn't go in. And that still very much exists with the Lightning Shield build, and certainly would exist with a sort of trait Feral build. But with the whole totem lineup, what you can do is slap it on top of the enemy outside your gate, 90% slow because they're all grouped up. You know, they're pushing their levels up. And then you recast it back behind your gate where it's now working as a healing ward. It's phenomenal. It gives you so many tools, and you can really just pursue 1v1. What a cool design that, in comparison to things like Ariel that got touched up, is just overperforming.
Yeah, that's a good bookend to it, Kyle. I think so good we might be accused of scripting our conversations.
Sometimes, you know, forcing even, one might say. The fakeness of this whole thing.
Oh yes, indeed. So anyways, before we get into this week's, here's the storm news and whatnot, and there is news. We were surprised by certain things that we'll talk about here in a moment, but we've got some housekeeping, Kyle. You may remember, because this is episode 403, that 3 episodes ago we had a 400th episode, and we were celebrating, having a good time. But we were also giving things away, courtesy of our good friends over on Team 30K. They were going to give away 3 pieces of apparel from their lovely store. And this isn't, I'm not just being kind because they gave us stuff to give away. I really do like the graphic design over there. Whoever's designing for 30K, good work. Their apparel looks great. But we have our winners, and you should have already been emailed, but winner of the 30K t-shirt, congrats to Mark Baber. The winner of the 30K long sleeve went to Ryan Kenny, and the winner of the 30K hoodie, which is what I would have wanted to win because I love hoodies and I can never have enough of them, went to Nick Miglery. Thank you so much for entering, and congrats to our winners, everybody. And huge thanks to 30K for helping us celebrate our 400th episode and running that giveaway. I didn't have to do anything but mention it. It was great. Thank you, 30K, and thank you, Dax, because Dax ran it. He just kept sending me updates. Like, all right, they've been picked, they've been emailed. I'm like, awesome. I love giving things away. I get so weirdly sweaty about running giveaways.
Oh yeah. Well,
I get very nervous that I'm gonna like send things the wrong place, and especially like the peril, you have a little more time to correct addresses and stuff, right? But like when we're doing codes, I'm like, oh no, did I send it to the right person? Oh God.
Oh, it's also a contest, and there's a certain cosmic energy that comes with contests. I am not a contest winner. I do not win contests, but some people do win all the contests, it seems. And you're riding people's hopes and dreams. You know, it can be a little stressful, but congratulations to our winners.
Yeah, congrats, and thanks again to 30K. Also, a huge thanks to our patrons. Getting weird. I just ate. Sorry, I'm like fighting back a burp. Thank you to our patrons
over there. It's okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I chose a carbonated seltzer. Well, all seltzer is carbonated. But yeah, thanks to our patrons. Patreon.com/ITN is where you can go if you want to support this podcast. And since our last episode, Jay Ingram has signed up and started supporting you and myself. Jay, if you haven't already, get in that Discord, because that's a perk you get for being a patron. And also, just before the show, Kyle, we got a new patron, Ben Adams. I was sitting down for the show and checked the inbox, and I'm like, oh, well, let me add this in here real fast.
Yeah, good to see them already hanging out in that Discord as well.
Yeah, and so if I thank you next week, Ben, it's because I haven't added you to the doc that I use to keep track of these things, so you might get double thanked. But I was so stoked. We never get a new patron right before the show, so I figured I was going to add that in here. So thank you, Jay. Thank you, Ben. Welcome aboard. Everybody else, patreon.com/ITN if you want to support the show. But now let's talk about what surprises laid in hiding in the patch when it went live this week with this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
Yes. Rhaegar actually not as good as he was on the PTR, which, dear God, could you imagine if Rhaegar had released as he was on the PTR?
Taking Purge down from 30-second cooldown to 45 seconds was the correct choice.
Yeah, and it still feels always available to me. I'm using the thing with the same reckless abandon that I do a water elemental. Been back on Jaina this week, by the way, courtesy of those changes.
So I'm curious to know where we want to go with this, because we clearly cannot overly affect the unstoppable business. You can take it to a straight up removal, but then we're losing that cleanse that Rhaegar has been known for so long. Not having a pure cleanse is one of the things that makes Brightwing so unique and allows Malfurion to be picked in certain situations over somebody else.
Yeah.
Do we go to a full minute? That seems sane.
I think we can go to a full minute. It's he is just a power pie. There doesn't seem to be slices. Like the whole kit and caboodle is just very, very powerful, but at the same time there are pieces to it, right? So Purge could go to a minute, but also I could see where maybe right now Purge doesn't feel as big as the biggest issue. Like the biggest issue feels like he's a little bit too good of a healer, and that totem is way more impactful than I think any of us expected it to be. Certainly me.
Yeah, they certainly went through and predicted some of this. So since our last patch talk, the spell power reduction on Grounding Totem was pushed to that 20 from 25, and the Wellspring had its healing value, that percentage of a normal untalented chain heal, reduced from 40% of it to 35% of it. It kind of minor stuff. Pit Fighter was also nerfed, taking down the spell power gain per person in the area around you from 5 to 4. And these are, of course, spell powers being percents. I'm not seeing a lot of Pit Fighters. Certainly, in our own statistics at home, it's quite popular. I'm taking that Gladiator's War Shout because I'm already going Bloodlust.
Yeah, so am I. I did in my very first game I was just like, let's let me get in and try this. I felt like I needed an Ancestral, so I got it. But again, the healing throughput just feels so much better now with that new 4, that new Earth Living Enchant, and then the fact that your Earthgrasp Totem is going to start chain healing at 13. Funny, of course, your choice. You don't have to go Wellspring, but at the moment it feels really, really good. So it's all these things. Like the Totem's too good, healing's too good, Purge too good.
And honestly, the healing could easily be taken down a notch, getting rid of some of that healing on Earth Living Enchantment, just because that's where Rhaegar shines, is a quick fight. Everyone loses half their health, and then you recover. And that's helping that recovery part, one of his weaknesses.
Yeah, I almost want... Because for the longest time, I've seen his healing kind of as a major reason why Rhaegar doesn't excel. So it's weird that this is kind of where I'm going, but like the fact that you're this hero that wants to move forward, you drop a slowing zone that if you talent a certain way, you can then micromanage afterwards at least once. You can move the totem again. At the moment, like today, if I was given a magic wand and said, "What would you do about Rhaegar?" I would rein in the healing. That's where I would focus, because I like that he's incentivized to move, to jump in, to control the battlefield with his totem, and want to kind of incentivize the rest of his team to do the same thing. And so I feel like you should be punished by making bad engagements by not being able to heal up particularly well afterwards.
And they did go in and affect Healing Totem, taking its percent from 3% to 2.5% maximum health per second, which isn't a huge amount, but Healing Totem does what we're talking about, helps you recover from that 50% fight you just won. However, it's a stagnant effect, right? You are now saying, and everyone has to now hang out here, our momentum dies a little bit in that moment. Whereas this Earth Living enchantment goes with you. And in particular, this might be a really interesting sort of cascade effect because many Rhaegars are aware that summons take aggro from buildings. And being able to increase the health this much is allowing us to kind of bypass call for help in many ways. We are, granted, of course, the summon won't take aggro from a hero that already has it. But Rhaegar is neutralizing buildings and taking a full 3-4 shots off a fort. I mean, you're kind of like flirting with Black Arrow territory.
I hadn't thought about baiting shots like that.
It's a very useful effect. Lunara can get 2 shots, for instance, and allows her to get away with a lot of weird stuff using a wisp. Of course, Anubarak for his pushing power is often used in the same way, but it's an interesting problem that increasing the health of the totem and forcing a choice in a team fight, do we have to get rid of it? I find that interesting. Like I said, there might be some clarity issues with spells. Do I want it to catch flaming orbs? Gazlo turrets do. And in the past, way in the past, we're talking, 2017 or so, like I would use Gazlo as a Leeming counter, and on Cursed Hollow, you'd set up turrets and predictable Leeming over the wall shot areas. I don't think Rhaegar, in addition to his spell power reduction, needs to be doing that.
Now we're getting a message in the chat room saying don't take away his healing. That's the entire reason he fell off in the first place. He needs to be able to keep up with the other real healers. And I don't necessarily disagree, but I think you're also like proving my point with that comment. Like, because I kind of look at Rhaegar like I look at a Kharazim. No one looks at I don't think many people would make the argument that Kharazim is a full-on healer. He's just kind of half healer. Doesn't bring massive heals to the game, but he brings a lot more fight prowess. And Rhaegar does too. So pick one or the other. Like, are you going to be a battle healer where you bring a little more damage, a little more fight utility, but you bring less healing, or you bring more healing and less of everything I just mentioned? I think you get one or the other in Heroes of the Storm. And right now, Rhaegar is both, and he's very good at both.
Well, when you look at the numbers at the end, they're actually all kind of bad. Healing isn't going to be of healer levels. Damage is not going to outdamage. There's a lot of Johannas right now.
Well, that's because kills secured through Totem. That's not you don't have a measurement for that. That's damage coming from other people who now got to connect attacks that otherwise would not have made it.
Yeah, he's bringing more control than he is healing or damage himself, and I'd say Kharazim is definitely in less control but more damage. You don't need to heal up or do more damage when you win the fight swiftly with a dive comp.
Right. And Chainhill starts, what is this, 25 less healing than Breath of Heaven, and you can do it from a range of 7, whereas Kharazim needs to actually like get close to you or use Radiant Dash. And then at level 13, does Kharazim have any, I don't know Kharazim this well off the top of my head. Does he get an extra free heal like later on in talents?
So famously, you're going to be healing for days when you get to Echo of Heaven at 16. Breath of Heaven heals for 75% of its normal amount, but heals a second time 3 seconds later. That's like a Twitch chat quote there. Heals for days on Echo of Heaven. And it is kind of true. It's a really big bump up because you often run Insight with it. So you're getting resets, and by the time it pops again, you're already popping another one. So it's just like pop, heals, constantly going around you. It does feel good. It does feel impactful. But, you could also have Stukov heals for days.
Yeah, another healer that doesn't need to work so hard for his heals.
But I think one thing that's brought up in the chat that's really, kind of highlighting our conversation here, what we're looking for is the easy fix and something that maintains this identity that we're enjoying, because frankly, we're both really enjoying playing Rhaegar. We don't want him to be destroyed in this current form that he's in. So what part of the play style is perhaps the one we're enjoying the least. It might be the healing, actually.
That's where I'm coming from. And then, you know, yeah, that's, to me, what makes him unique is his battle prowess. And it was mediocre before. And now it's very good. A lot of this is tied up too in my brain with Totem build. And so I'm like, I don't know, maybe Totem build is just too good, but it's so different from how things were before that I don't want to see it just disappear. And that's the way the patches have been going, by the way. If something's good, it just gets nerfed to hell, except Stukov. Like that's kind of how modern patches have been.
So we're cautioning developer hands because we want to maintain the fun here. And I do think it's a very interesting problem to solve, because Purification got a nerf before this patch, refunding only 40% of its cooldown opposed to the 50%. But Purge in this quick dive style is doing its job so well. You don't need to augment it, particularly compared to Colossal Totem, which allows for so much tomfoolery later on. It's a weird time for Rhaegar to come out. I mean, it would have been weird time for that for the Tyrael rework to come out too, because this incentivizes a dive meta, which we are already in. Ana, your days are over. Oh my God, just don't. There's no early pick, there's no late pick world where you want to be that. And dive into Ariel isn't quite as insane because she has the pushback, but certainly Morales isn't going to be a good time right now. Rhaegar is going to usher in the meta that already exists across all leagues.
Was Ana really in before?
No, she's been out for a long
that's
while.
kind of where my brain's going. It's like, I don't think Rhaegar has anything to do with this, other than it's just one more way easier healer to play than Ana. That's just better. Like, why work so hard to win your game?
I mean, I enjoy some weird heroes too. I find in my own draft, there's quite a few times when someone's like, yeah, like really massaging their, and be like, I'm really going to work this idea into position. This looks like a really good Ana game. And you're like, what about any of this looks good for Ana? What is she going to do that anybody else could do? We find ourselves in an early pick support meta too, with Brightwing, Stukov, Rhaegar, Anduin kind of being the backup of that. There is a lot to compete for. There's still powerful bruisers. I'm curious to see where kind of Dahaka lands after this weekend, but in the CCL, we're still seeing a lot of priority on powerful bruisers and more generalist bruisers. I have no idea what CCL is going to do this weekend, because they were in like a weird Tychus heavy meta thing to deal with the high health bruisers, but the bruisers got nerfed, but Urel's coming up. It's so messy for them. I'm really, really excited for this weekend.
Yeah, because in what I'm seeing in the game is like things really haven't changed that much. It's just now Rhaegar is here. It's like it feels like same heroes as before plus Rhaegar. So to me, I'm just thinking like, what gets through the draft this weekend? Because you're gonna have to control Rhaegar.
Yeah, I think he's out.
They haven't banned him, right?
Oh, that's a.
I thought just occurred to me. It didn't. Yeah. Literally did not even think about that.
I'll go by their Twitter here in the background and see if they've made any statement about that.
Yeah, we don't have any of our CCL buddies hanging out right now.
We need official statement, but I would imagine so. But things have also been like really quiet as the guy who does the halftime interviews. I can tell you that there's a lot of cards being held right now, and no one really wants to show their hand or what they're cooking up.
That makes sense. I don't know. I could still see it being about bruisers, which you said Urel's coming up. So if that holds, I mean, it's still a bruiser, but it's hard to kill. So Tychus still plays a role if Urel suddenly is this major presence.
There's also a premium on tank players, which has kind of caused a influx of bruiser and double bruiser to CCL. Like there are very few dedicated tank players, and the best ones are being traded around often as they, it's a tournament of the level it is. Sometimes, you have a tank player that's on the NA server picked up by an EU team. They struggle to get good practice time in, so they trade them for another one that maybe matches their schedule. Like, no one's being paid full time here. So schedules are very, very important. And often when a player's trade, it's nothing scandalous. It's something like, ooh, what happened? Big drama. It's literally that they were having trouble practicing while also working a job. But the lack of dedicated tank players of that skill has meant we've seen more priority towards high health bruisers in the CCL meta. And us at home go, wait, are tanks bad? Not really. However, it is worth noting that after the recent buffs on Johanna last week, she is doing stupid damage. And I'd like to make a PSA out there to all the Johannas who would like to complain. Stop it. You're roaring for massive damage. You're doing Heaven's Fury. Don't then turn on your Zul'jin that's gotten dove all game and be like, what are you doing back there? They're dying. Because you can't hold the front line. It's not your fault. It's Johanna. You can't hold it. But you're doing a lot of damage, and you're outpacing everybody.
It's fine. So another thing that was a bit of a surprise addition in this patch was how they're going to deal with standalone healing wells on your battlegrounds like Battlefield of Eternity and Braxis Holdout. They die when both keeps go down. One keep isn't enough. Both keeps have to go.
Yeah, these were left in their previous form, which, getting back there to destroy the middle well on Battlefield of Eternity was a job of one certain degenerate named Genji. And no one else could really do it and get over the wall like that. So another nerf to Genji here coming through.
I'm okay with it.
This one lacks the most readability, but this is the right change. Why? What's tethering them? I don't want spectral, lasers connecting them to be like, oh, I'm aware that the keeps must do. When I destroy both keeps, I'm not like, and the well too. That's not my priority. So this is fine. It functions. It's great.
Yeah. You need to have some sort of functionality, right? Like, I legitimately forgot about those when we were having all of our discussions last week about the change to healing wells. So, also in at least 3 of my games this week, I've tried to click on the healing wells first because I'm like, no, these stupid minions are going to start attacking it and I want them to attack the keep, which like what I used to do is help burn down the well fast. And it's just this muscle memory thing, dude. Where I try to click on the wells when I'm walking up to siege a keep or fort.
I did it a few times too, but I really have not struggled, nor has my brain ever seen a keep fall and go, but what of the well? And like run that direction after a team fight. So it's been very, very natural of a transition.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break here though. And, before we get into the rest of the news and thank this week's sponsor. That's right. Bombas is back sponsoring this episode of Into the Nexus. If you haven't heard of them, Bombas's mission is simple, which is to make the most comfortable clothes ever and match every item sold with an equal item donated. So this holiday, when you gift Bombas to someone on your list, you're also giving them to someone in need. It's give. Who doesn't want to give?
At Christmas?
Yeah, and you get comfy socks or shirts or underwear or all 3, depending on what you order. They are really, really comfy. You and I have quite a few at this point. If you haven't heard us like extol the virtues of our wildly comfortable Bombas socks, they designed their socks, shirts, and underwear to be the clothes that might actually make you want to fold your laundry so you get to wear these first. Or, I guess you could just dig through. I dig through.
Yeah.
Ain't no one got time for folding. No one's got time for that. Everything they make is super soft. It's seamless. It's tagless. It just feels nice. They're really comfy. I've got, I like run the gamut, dude. I've got dress socks, which are great, and they actually make really uncomfortable dress shoes bearable. And then I've got like no-shows that I just rock when it's warm in Florida, which it still is. Our cold front went away, so I'm back to shorts.
Oh man, it is freezing up here in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm happy to have some wool socks.
Yeah, and did we mention gift boxes? You can just skip the wrapping and get right to giving. You got lovely little gift boxes, so go check them out. Socks, underwear, and t-shirts are the 3 most requested clothing items at homeless shelters in that order, and that's why Bombas donates one for every item you buy. So they've got a deal for Into the Nexus listeners as well. Go to bombas.com/Nexus and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Nexus for 20% off. Bombas.com/Nexus. We thank them for their support, and we thank you all listening for supporting the brands that support us here on Into the Nexus. So go check it out. But anyways, in other news this week, Kyle, the season has been set to 6 months.
Interesting. I object. Because
Why?
I like seasons, and I think seasons are very powerful things, and I would like to see them, regardless of content rollouts, available 4 times a year because it feels good. Because we all like cleaning a clean slate. We like looking at our score sheet, looking back, seeing, oh man, that was that season where I played a whole bunch of Zarya. That was weird. I'd like to get over that and not look at the scorecard anymore. I'd like a fresh start. And it's absolutely arbitrary, made up. If it's not tied to a meta, a balance patch, sure, you can say it doesn't matter. But I really do think, like, psychologically, that I would like to have some more freshness and a call back to the game for more players who enjoy that sort of improvement style.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think this is too long. Even though, like, as I have mentioned in the past, I think seasons have started to mean nothing. All they seem to be is set up for disappointment because the last many seasons have not ended on time. So I see why this is getting pushed out, but again, it's just one of these things where, like, I'm wildly curious. What are the inner workings? Why is this the direction they went? Why, like, is it not possible to just set it to be like on a 3-month rotation? Like every 3 months, boom, time for a new season, go.
I don't think there is. I think these systems that Blizzard has invented are very, very hand-on, and they are perhaps outdated in that way, and take a lot of management, particularly when we hear what happens with the launcher, that someone has to be there entering images, and there is no scheduling you can do with things you put on there. You have to have a human being go take up and take down anything that goes on that launcher. Whereas, on our phones with Google Calendar, it'll alert you, and then that alert will go away after the time has passed. I do think that future games will be more aware of what live service means and what sort of you are signing up for in that degree. But these systems in the background have not been developed, and it would cost way too much money to transition them over to something new.
You know what would be nice?
If
the teams would tell us anything.
I understand why they can't.
I don't.
They're not allowed. I think there are extremely passionate Heroes developers who simply are told they can't say anything. And that is the truth of corporate. Silence to a corporate environment is business as usual.
They used to be so chatty, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, the chattiness with success, success lends itself to a chattiness and a boldness. I think that it takes a lot of personal project and leadership to be that chatty. That is something that you do because you want to.
I think it's a requirement of modern game design, and Blizzard is failing miserably at it.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. And this is such a multifaceted conversation, of course, about the overall Blizzard sphere. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, let alone like 4 things happen in World of Warcraft this week that are news, discussion, culturally worthy to discuss as gamers going forward. There's also the ABK strike advancing right now to perhaps a funded level of strikeage where they are raising money to stop working. It is a bizarre time to talk about games. What I'm talking about here, perhaps, is just the health of your community and what they see themselves doing and how people like to improve. And you've made a game here where people want to improve. People want to climb. They want to be better than they previously were. And you ever taken a nap after having a tough day? Like that's what a season is. It's a nice little nap. Oh man, that was yesterday. It was 3 hours ago, bro. You just fell asleep for a bit. You rage napped, but you're so much better. And season roll is very much the same thing, regardless of content.
My brain just goes in a million different directions, and I don't know which one's the correct one.
Obviously, nobody does right now. And it'd be foolish for us to pressure you on this show, reacting to me speaking in real time, to have any sort of correct answer.
Is it actually real time, Kyle?
We have been accused of otherwise, yes. But I think this, I would like to see this adjusted. I absolutely understand, though, that 6 months might be the proper time for your team to get in there and do the updates necessary. We missed Halloween, which is worthy of bringing up. Those items never did touch the shop. We currently have Lunar New Year stuff in the shop, so it's full of Christmas items as well. There's not going to be a Christmas event or a winter event or holiday event. It's just it's a new field for all gaming. And then, meanwhile, you have stories that are adjacent to this, like Final Fantasy XIV, who is burdened with such success that they are also failing to deliver on their promises. On all aspects of video gaming right now, it is chaos.
It's go listen to our Final Fantasy discussion. I fundamentally disagree with what you just said, but we get into it on the last
simplification one. For a heroes-based audience, right?
Yes, they actually promised it was going to be bad, and it was bad. So I would say they kept their promise.
But as particularly with the director over there, as a gamer, he was continually informing his audience that he couldn't fix the server problems in time for their Legion sort of level and story wrap-up expansion that was going to befall that game, and they have struggled to get people into the product they have purchased, which, that's not a DDoS attack. That's not a failure necessarily on the developer's part. They simply couldn't get the semiconductors. I'm just saying we have so many gaming stories going on right now that an advancement of your calendar in a season roll seems like the same thing to do while things settle in the background.
Yeah, but again, it's like then it makes my brain wonder. Like, is that going to be the next update or what? Like, what's going on here? Because here we are in December, where usually things get quiet. Like, and usually devs leave for holiday break and all that, which I want them to. I don't, but
yeah.
But when I see that 6 month and know the game's extreme desire to want to bundle things together, whether that's effective or not, I just go, wait, are we on a 6 month patch cycle now?
I think that there are reasons why there are community managers. There is a full-blown full-time job in communicating with your devs and finding out the correct time to tell your audience that is currently missing. And if I asked you where you're going to be in 3 months, you might go, ooh, tough order. But I ask you what's up in 6 months, and you're like, oh yeah, I might be free by then. I think 6 months is a is a psychologically safer bet for their heads, but I don't think will be where they hope to be at that point.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Still trying to figure out any sort of cadence to patches because it just seems random at this point. No. Anyways, we've kind of talked already about the patch fallout. It's only been 2 days, so statistics on fan sites are best taken with a pretty big grain of salt.
Absolutely. We are seeing some ups, some downs. In particular, one you might be interested in is Probius seems to be down. Though overall, he does hit the battlefield a little more wiggly, a little more impactful, certainly creates zones that I am afraid of. And he is doing a spellcastery job, whether or not it's the fantasy we want to live. You can queue up our previous episode about that.
Yeah, dude, I tried him and I forgot how bad he feels, in my opinion. I legitimately forgot you can only have one cannon out at a time. It just feels terrible.
Yeah,
and I realize you can build to have more than one cannon at a time, but I think it's post level 16.
It's level 7.
Is it 7? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, but that talent didn't receive any buffs because it got a buff. Its tower defense. Reduce photon cannon's cooldown by 4 seconds when disruption pulse or warp rift damages an enemy hero. Now you have more ways to damage enemy heroes with the rifts self-exploding and you perhaps not needing to use your pulse in order to detonate the rifts. So I understand why this didn't go buffed. You can get 3 kind of these going, and if you're just hitting target dummies, you could have quite a few. But regardless, that's not quite the fantasy that you're going for. And when you set up your first turret and you're like, I'm probe Russian, and you see one turret sitting there, you kind of go, wait, what's this long cooldown about?
Yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. Because I was like, all right, let me see. And I was like, nope. I still just fundamentally do not like this hero. I got a base level. Just not for me. But yeah, Lunara's doing well. Rainer's shown a little sign of life in Storm League in these first 2 days. He's holding steady in quick match, essentially no change. Dahaka's up a tad in Storm League, like basically no games in quick match to really look at, so I wouldn't trust numbers there. It's interesting. And then you've got heroes like Jaina, who's up in quick match and down in Storm League.
Which I think makes sense. Jaina is very comp dependent, or we should say comp weak. In our sort of dive meta, Jaina will not have a good time and Ice Block will not save her. But in a quick match environment, you just brought lane clear, which is all the party needs versus an Abathur and Medivh.
Potentially. Oh yeah, oh my god, the Abathurs. So I was testing a lot of the heroes I got messed with, so I've been in quick match all damn week, and the Abathurs are everywhere. And when I play with you, I never get a tank. I don't know why. I was getting tanks just fine by myself.
I'm not sure either. I maybe just parties don't run tanks. I know when I do 5 stacks for fun, I often skip the tank because it means we won't fight a full-blown 5 stack.
Oh, that's clever.
You know what I mean? Because the second
game in the system.
Stack,
I like that.
Yeah. The best thing you can do for 5 people to have fun, and they're not good at the game, if you will, is to make sure you do not pick a tank. Because if you do, you will fight an NGS team practicing. If you pick 2 bruisers, you'll fight quick match people.
Yeah. Well, we'll do a deeper dive next week once we have some data to look at. But let's do some Q&A and crack open our mailbag.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the moment, it's a hero brawler!
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're supporting us on Patreon, come hang out in the Discord. We got a question channel there specifically for questions for the show, and you can skip the inbox. Valk writes in and says, if Kyle is Hanzo in real life cosplay, what are other heroes' personalities? For example, is Paradox Deckard Cain in real life, but younger? What about Mockery? Kai Garrett? Question mark? Oh, this is delightfully goofy.
Well, where would you put yourself? This is who you could cosplay as, but I guess we have to factor out like a mask. Because, Space Leoric would be the cosplay I would do in a heartbeat if I had, all the lights and and cosplaying building prowess.
Yeah, if we're doing Kyle as to Hanzo, what I am to X, clearly there's a resemblance going on. I don't think I look like anyone.
No, I'm looking. There's a lot of facial hair in.
There
Do we
is.
Do we have any clean shaven?
I'm I'm anything but clean shaven at the moment, but
Varian? Varian would look cool with your hair.
I would look cool with Varian hair. Because Varian's hair is just cool. That is a dramatic ponytail.
Tychus is clean shaven.
Boy, I hate to say it, but I've got kind of tall like peaks going on now at my older age. Junkrat's kind of got my hairline.
Oh no.
Oh no, I've become what I hated, Kyle.
As do we all.
Oh no, I used to have Zarya's haircut. Wasn't pink, but it was, high and tight.
Do you make characters that look like you when you play RPGs?
I used to a lot. I don't as much nowadays. But like growing up, if there was a character creator, I usually tried to make it look like me.
Also, a lot of those old games didn't have the more sort of fantasy or monster races that we've come to know in like the later Dragon Ages. So when you were subjected to a world of fantastical creatures and aliens, and they gave you the human option, it seemed like, there's a high chance you might build yourself in there.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd say so. I didn't play a lot of fantasy growing up. I just kind of played like console games and stuff. So like my first like real fantasy game was like Ocarina of Time, which you can't customize how you look.
Did you name yourself Garrett though?
I did. Yes, I did. I had to think about that for a second. I distinctly remember the first time I ever played it was at a friend's house, and he thought the main character was named Zelda, so he named himself Zelda.
Oh, okay. Got a little confusing,
It was very confusing because I remember playing through the where you sneak through the garden to meet with Zelda, and so there's a line where Zelda says Link's name or whatever you said it to, and says, "That sounds familiar." So it was really funny when it was Zelda, that sounds familiar. Or something. It was something like that line. I'm poorly quoting, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. Back in my bearded day with long hair, probably Greymane. Because I used to have a thick beard and I used to have long hair. So in my hairier days, probably could have done a mean Greymane.
I can see you out there with your blunderbuss being a little ha-ha.
I do love a dramatic coat.
I, however, cannot jump or leap or vault in Hanzo style, so we all have our limitations.
I would pay good money to see you jump over a wall.
I could practice. When I was younger and less afraid of pain, what was it? Parkour. But parkour was actually a little past my time in terms of, coolness.
It didn't get popular until Casino Royale, and we were sophomores in college.
Yeah. So a little late to be parkouring.
Would have broken some bones.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you told me I had to cosplay today, I'd go get a blonde wig and do Kel'Thas.
Nice.
Just so you know.
Would you do the eyebrows?
Oh, 100%. You have to do the eyebrows. You absolutely have to. There's no way out of that. As far as our friends, I think you're right on the money with Paradox. I don't think Paradox really looks like Deckard Cain, but definitely embodies the soul.
Yeah, and I think that way, there we see a lot of mains out of Heroes of the Storm personalities, and a lot of them reflect very much how they like to play. Maybe not necessarily their personalities, but heroes have very defined play styles, and with the lack of items in Heroes of the Storm, those play styles can be extremely diverse. Like Kai Berries, in many games I see plays kind of a Rhaegar get in your face style and likes that aggression. And Mockery does enjoy the optimization and the huge amount of skill ceiling that is allowed in something like a Tracer, and finds himself gravitating towards things that have those opportunities.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like when I think Mockery, I think Tracer, which I don't think Tracer and Mockery look very similar.
But we all, and I'm certainly not a Diablo in body or type, but it's a play style I very much enjoy.
Yeah. Character-wise, Kyle is Kel'Thuzad, without a doubt.
Kel'Thuzad
Dramatic. You've got plans. You're a very planny person.
But I sort of retreat inward. I'm introverted. I have my cat. Like I like waiting in my study for 1,000 years for adventurers to come bother me.
Okay. I can dig that.
Yeah.
I can dig that.
I dig the lich lifestyle, just like close yourself off however long it takes you. That's how long it gets, and you'll take over the world someday. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, eventually they'll just keep bringing you back for raids when they're out of ideas. Yeah. All right. De La Soak writes in and says, playing some bruisers got me thinking about sprucing up some boring alts and alt upgrades with the is it fun, is it overpowered kind of framework. Wants to get our thoughts on Zool and the level 20 skeleton mages upgrade, Cold Hand of Death. It has a moldy 9.2% pick rate and increases the slow from 30 to 50%, spawning a skeleton mage every 5th hit from a spectral scythe. De La Soak would suggest spawning a skeleton mage every 3rd hit from spectral scythe, and then at level 20, saying it's level 20. It's supposed to be exciting and in tune with high stakes late game fights. I don't think creating one mage every 2nd skirmish provided you opted for Echoes of Death at 13 is very exciting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it. Really, like, I push it way further. Like, let's tear this thing down and build it back up. I hadn't really considered Cold Hand of Death in a while, but that is woeful.
Yeah, I think the power is supposed to lie in the slow being increased to 50%, which is solid compared to the 30% of 10. But you got mortal wounds there, 75% less healing for 4 seconds on the spectral scythe hit. 5 spectral scythe hits. And what necessarily makes somebody go skeletal mages when you do a full scythe build? Like, what are you investing in here? Yeah, get rid of the bonus slow if that's what you have to do. But every hit, skeletal mages, just they're not that strong anyway because they have that decreasing life sort of total. They don't phase out like the totem does. It is easier to get rid of them the longer the the skeletal mage time period passes.
Oh, that would be a good upgrade right there. It's just give them a timer. Like a duration as opposed to having it tied to the health.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, Zul's doing fine. I don't think Zul necessarily needs the help, but it feels like we're out of the cool 20s changes that we saw during Jackson's time, but I really hope we get back to it. And I think Cold Hand of Death is a damn good candidate for some 20 sprucing up.
I agree.
Brought up Artanis as well, saying that both level 10s aren't so hot. De La Soak says, for a hero whose base kit isn't great outside of a good swap or some nice level 16 power, his ults are super tame. A laser you walk away from that can't even kill an ETC over the course of Mosh Pit, and drumroll, a blind. That's all it does. It blinds people. That's an ultimate ability. De La Soak, I just want to compliment how you write. This is great. I like how this reads.
Got good energy.
How to spruce it up. Level 10 Suppression Pulse. Slow heroes hit by Suppression Pulse by 40% for 3.5 seconds. Now it's a light engage or a counter engage when an enemy has hard committed rather than a jumbo shield glare where they just back off and wait out the blind at full move speed. Slow, 40%. Yeah, I keep the blind though, I think.
Yeah.
Like, keep the blind, and maybe, because 40% is a lot, maybe decay. 40% decaying is how I would massage this.
The slow would, even a slow, like a 15%er would still encourage people to use it for a dismount, perhaps, or in some sort of tactical way outside the blind. I mean, that is kind of the problem with Artanis in so many ways. You're doing him for his base kit, and he has that Stitches Hook level playmaker with the swap. Purifier Beam has a place in very, very interesting metas that are more backliney, like Junkrat Ana kind of stuff, not combined. Just the two of them together can be weak for it. Yeah. I always think it's fascinating when we have, bad heroics like we see on, Stukov's probably too strong of a note, and even Mephisto, but just really, really strong base kits. Is Artanis really like the weakest level 10 I can think of? Could be.
I have a bias. You want to see my bias?
What's your bias?
Rexar.
Oh, that's very similar. Yeah, Bruiser.
Rexar's got some lame 10s, like big time. Phoenix, I don't think Phoenix is that bad. I wouldn't say they're the most exciting. I wouldn't say they're the least exciting. I mean, Planet Cracker's cool as hell. It just doesn't do much.
Right. So if I may explore the RP side of things, Suppression Pulse, is that a EMP in space? It comes from a spaceship flying above the planet, is the idea.
Yeah.
It's got a great graphic that kind of splashes down energy and spreads around.
EMP was a Terran thing, not a Protoss thing.
True. So what's necessarily blinding about this energy?
It's so bright, Kyle.
It's bright.
I like to think, what was the name of the ship? What was the capital ship in Legacy?
Spear of a Dune.
I like to think that the Spear of a Dune just is catching the light the right way, and it's getting in your eyes. Because everything the Protoss makes is mirror finished gold.
That's true. That's true.
So it's just catching the sunlight, and it's in your eyes. It's like a kid with a watch. Also, by the way, that assessment matches how boring the ability is.
It's true. It's true. And the level 20 is that you get an additional charge, but you best not use it within 10 seconds of each other, because that would be too much. It has unlimited range, but what if you just made it the whole map? Heroes only, the whole map. Granted, then you got dismounts and some really weird scenarios. You can get into base calls outside of Juice Pirates that are causing people to be dismounted or unable to hearth. It probably gets too goofy.
Oh, that's Juice Pirates. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's a good point. I don't hate Suppression Pulse, but I can't say it's interesting, I guess it's my thought there. Purifier Beam just seems like it should do more damage. It seems like it should do more damage or move quicker. Because right now it doesn't do very much damage and it's easy to get away from. It's kind of the worst of both worlds.
Purifier Beam at 20, though, can absolutely, in the right meta that I mentioned, win a game.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. De La Soak also had suggestion for Purifier Beam, saying heroes hit are slowed by 20% for 1.5 seconds, have their armor reduced by 10 for 3 seconds. Now you can actually body block targets into the beam instead of putting it on a low health target, watching them walk away while you wish you had Blades of the Templar to pair with your Chrono Surge.
You can't do this. I don't think you can do the slow if you are hit by it initially. It would require the beam to somehow be targeted on the ground or start away from the target and then chase them. So you still get that chase value.
Maybe after 2 seconds, if a target is hit, slow them by 20%.
Yeah, or maybe it scales.
After 1 second. Yeah, like give it a breath after it lands.
Right, exactly. Because then you're just guaranteeing it does damage, and that's too much.
Oh, you could make the graphic where it almost like a void ray, it ggets a little fatter, or it looks more powerful when the slow is active.
Oh, I'm a big fan of that sort of stuff. Yeah. Just actually, if it's hitting, I like that actually the best. If it's hitting, it grows and becomes more of a threat. You can still run away from it, but the power is amplified.
Yeah. I will say I think a slow plus armor reduction is probably too much. Probably. Because then it becomes a shot call on a hero that already has a shot call with the swap.
Yeah. I think there's issues
some
with
interesting
Artanis.
stuff here, De La Soak. These are I want to throw away is it fun, is it overpowered? Because some of this reads realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. which isn't a bad thing.
I do think it's overpowered to get rid of the suppression pulses level 20 unstackableness. Like if you could blind a battlefield in that large of an area for 8 seconds straight, that's just not allowed to play territory, and that's unfun. 4 seconds on the Zul'jin is still pretty brutal.
Yeah. I like this email a lot, Dale Soak. Thank you. Some cool ideas. Do you write? I want to know. Could you let us know?
Good email.
All right. Bringing us home is Mr. I'm Stuck, who writes, our favorite caster Bahamut has a thing about Phoenix and his ults being mostly useless. Hey, that just came up. I'd never say it in his stream chat because I think the utility he brings is generally good and can allow a comp to flex in a different direction. His biggest complaint is that his 10s are lackluster, which is kind of true. So my thought was to give him a new 20 Arsenal dump that gives him both ults firing at the same time with a 60-second cooldown. Thank you for your show. I don't immediately think this is busted, and it's really exciting.
Got Armageddon Beam. That's the Planet Cracker augmentation. I'm just double checking. Yeah, there still is no augmentation for Purification Salvo, as though it's good enough from the get-go. And in some way it is. Like, Phoenix is such a weird one because we all have a horror story of it. We all have some sort of 1v1 versus a late game bruiser Phoenix that just did 6% additional target maximum health versus the target that you're auto attacking. Like, there are some builds on Phoenix that are nuts. There is the Braxis situation with permission from your team. The Phoenix solo lanes destroys the enemy bruiser, and when the Zerg wave comes down the lane, he planet crackers it, and there is no Zerg wave left. And it can be insane. He is such a weird hero, and I don't think I disagree that his 10s are bad. Perhaps I'm disagreeing with Bahamut. What I really think is that his power spike is just a lot later than we think it is. When he's a teleporty, auto-attacky sort of thing. He seems in character like somebody who would do well in the early game before CCs build up.
That's a good point. Phoenix is just so unique.
He's too unique for me. I do not have the bandwidth available to practice 2 auto attack styles on a single hero.
That's where I kind of check out as well. I really liked him when he first released, but I think I literally only played Phoenix for a month. And that's kind of, to me, feels like what it takes.
Yeah,
because when you auto attack swap, when you swap auto attackers, it's like you already kind of have to retrain your brain to whatever auto attacker you ended up on, and now you're right. It's just, I'm 100% with you on this. The hang up is swapping auto attacks. Now this doesn't get into the point being made in the email here, but it's where my brain lies as far as Phoenix is concerned.
Well, and for me, they made a better Phoenix in the design that they had made him in with Mephisto, because Mephisto is the connect your circles hero, and it feels good. And when you teleport in to connect your circle, you will get out of that situation you just put yourself in by teleporting back. Phoenix doesn't have that luxury. He has to invest. And the plasma cutter, which again, this is so shallow, but that sounds like a tool for mining. What's it doing on the tomb that you build around your greatest warriors? Does he need to Wally collect trash?
I think we've gone too deep, Kyle.
Does he put himself in situations where he can't? He's supposed to be part of the army. He's a foot soldier embodied into a machine now.
Listen, it's kind of Warhammer. You get stuck under something, you got to free yourself.
You can blow off a leg, and limp away with 3 legs. I think he'd have. It was a weird. It was a very weird thing.
You help other zealots not become dragoons.
I do not mind the auto attack switching. I think that's pretty cute. I honestly expected repeater cannon to be, or phase bomb to be a spell, and for repeater cannon after Age of this is Dragoon Stalkers. So Phoenix was a hybrid between a Dragoon and a Stalker, and we got a little bit of each fantasy. I'd be really interested to see that Phoenix fantasy come back. And look what I've just said. That was Brood War, and it had an auto attack and terrible pathing. Like, what is the Phoenix fantasy? Maybe, it's a tall order.
All right, Kyle.
There wasn't a lot of source material to go on here.
Somewhere in there, you made me think of Hearthstone, and now I want to Hearthstoneify Purification Salvo.
Okay.
So it paints in a cone, essentially, right? Like it paints its targets in the sweep. What if instead of where it always does 5 to however many got marked, it had a maximum, and if you aimed it to where you only hit 1 or 2 targets, it sent more shots at the fewer targets you painted. So because right now it paints, and if you got 5 people, it's sending 5 missiles at each. If you got 1 person, it's sending 5 missiles at 1 person. What if it had, for the sake of math, is probably the damage would be too much, but you had 25 total, and if you only paint 1, all 25 go to that 1. But you still have this massive area that you need to try and be cute with.
I like it. That sounds like something they probably experimented with and then probably added on this deals 50% increased damage to slow targets later on to sort of give some counterplay, because you can self-cleanse. There's a lot of cleanses or self-cleanses that get rid of slows and stuff. So Phoenix was designed for heroes before Mephisto, following Maiev, Blaze, Hanzo, and Alexstrasza Junkrat. Like we were still in the thick of some pretty heavy development for our heroes here. And I do think he brought about some unique design choices. I wonder if they were just afraid to make another hammer, because that's the other sort of fantasy you have with this generating ball play style as a sieger, very much like the butts in the air of the Starship Troopers aliens.
I was like, where are you going with butts in the air? But never mind, I follow. I'm doing my part, Kyle.
And you do, and it's big and slow, and a big old arc, and then it lands. Not terribly interactive gameplay.
No.
So there are.
That's just what I want. Abathur and Hammer mixed. That sounds great.
Exactly. Or you have the Dragoon fantasy, and you take that into Sieger, or you take that into photon weaponry, and you don't end up with any good hero design there because it's all very trolly. I think Planet Cracker is awesome and very thematic. I think the idea that he can overload his shields and has those shields is great. I would love to see some rethinking of advanced targeting, and something that gives me pause is Circle Biz. Zul'jin, where was your ability?
Circle Biz, the axes?
Twin Cleave. Because Twin Cleave is made the heck up. Zul'jin with the boomerang, but how did these things go back? Why does he do this as an auto attacker? But when they did the rework and they tied the double spin to him completing his trait, it created a zone of threat that allows Zul'jin to occupy areas safely. And I found at that time that I really liked Twin Cleave. So there is a way for Plasma Cutter to be a thing. I think we've just made a better Phoenix with Mephisto. I took this way deeper off the tens than I meant to, but pardon me.
It's a fascinating line of thinking, for sure. Yeah, maybe. I don't think there's anything wrong with Phoenix necessarily. I do think on the heroic side of things could use a little work. But as fascinating as I find talking about why he doesn't really resonate for you or I do like how unique Phoenix is. So I don't think I necessarily want Phoenix more homogenized, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we've got great auto attacker options. He doesn't need to fill a role.
Yeah. I don't know. One day I'll do some soul searching, Kyle. I'll take some Heroes. I'll sign myself up for Heroes of the Storm therapy, and I'll find out why Phoenix doesn't work for me, but it doesn't make me angry, and Probius doesn't work for me, and it makes me furious.
Some pretty deep stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If anyone wants to psychoanalyze me.
I will also say that Probius came out following Valera and Lucio, so Sammy too.
That was a hot string of heroes.
Yeah, but it was not a time to release the squishy little flighty probe into the Valera meta. That's a little strong. Valera quick match of the time.
Uh-huh. I could play some Valera right now.
Yeah.
Well, keep those emails coming, everybody. itncast@gmail.com. If you're supporting us on Patreon, drop us a message in the Patron Discord. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. As always, thank you to our patrons. If you want to support the show and Kyle and myself, check out patreon.com/ITN. We have levels set up for $1 or more. You can also set your own amount, whatever works for you. There is an option to do that. You don't have to use the levels we set for you. So go check out patreon.com/ITN if you want to support what we're doing here. Also, a huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Sean B., Mike R., and JM Tibbles. We have one slot left. If you'd like to pick it up, patreon.com/ITN. You can catch us live Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/AMOTV, and you can follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. But Kyle and I also make other content. Together, we have been chronicling our journey through Final Fantasy XIV over at youtube.com/AMOVTV. The podcast version of that is it's under construction. We'll put it that way. There's some changes as we shift and mold the clay that is that project. There will be a podcast thing, and we'll be announcing it soonish. But we're trying to hammer things out. We still have scheduling to suss out. I have to make a logo. We got some stuff we got to do. But in the meantime,
assets must be created. Pardon our dust.
Yes, go to youtube.com/AMOVTV, where every Wednesday we're putting up a new video chronicling our journey through Final Fantasy XIV. I think I've only been accused of clout chasing by one person, so this isn't really a thing that's bothering me or not. But I do want to make it abundantly clear. I'm really just enjoying this game. Like, to a surprising degree.
Oh, sure. That accusation in this time period is very loaded.
Yeah. Is it really so hard to believe that with other games that I enjoy in the state that they are, that I would be interested in exploring other experiences?
I don't think so. And it is a very well-designed game. I'm enjoying it very much myself. I know I pushed and prod and eventually got you to watch Yoshi P interviews. Like it's been a journey on my part.
It's your fault. I could have learned. Yep. I could have learned how to play piano, man. Thanks.
Yep. This was the thing that stopped you.
Anyways, youtube.com/AMOVTV. New one up this week, all about why servers are on fire for Final Fantasy XIV and how they warned us, and we should have listened.
Well, we listened. Some people have lost perspective, but if saying people on the internet is a very mixed topic. As we have said in the past, it can be easy to put names next to each other and say, see, you're the person who said you wanted X, now you hate X. No, that's not true. I think the people who understand are still understanding.
Yeah. But other than that, Kyle, where can folks find you?
You can find me over at KyleFergusson.com, where you can find everything I do, including YouTube.com/Kyle Fergusson, where I'm doing a big old revamp of the way I do things. Previously, I'd play heroes on my Twitch stream, and then I would transfer those games over. And if I talked about shawarma or the state of the weather, that's the conversation you would get over your Here's the Storm game at youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson. Now the content is exclusive. You want to see me play the new Rhaegar build? Would you like some little bit of editing with that? Oh, yeah. You can find that over at youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson. And also now, when you tune into twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson, we'll have a conversation, you and I. We'll hang out. I won't be so concerned about keeping it on topic for the YouTube audience. Those two ideas are now separate, and I think they will benefit greatly from this direction.
I dig it. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter, amove.tv for this and every single other podcast that I do. Again, just go to youtube.com/amove.tv. If you're like, Garrett, what else you got going on? I like what you're doing. I want more of your stuff, and I want to support you. Just go to youtube.com/amove.tv, give it a sub, and start watching those videos Kyle and I are putting out. I have been pouring my editing heart and soul into it. I'm very proud of it. So
you should be.
Go check it
excellent.
out. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Into the Nexus. We will see you in a week's time. We don't take no holiday break. as I panicked to go look at the. Yeah, we don't take no holiday break. Had to look at the calendar to make sure I'm not unintentionally lying. Yeah, we
There
don't
will be a show. It just might not be on the Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be back next week with a new Into the Nexus. But until then, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.